Let's go. Guys, if you guys don't know what day this is, it's the day to get your freedom. Today's the day we focus on one thing, right? There's so many things we focus on during the week, right? There's always a priority, there's always a fire, but you have to take solace that this one day of the week that we're going to take control in our legacy, in our business, and focus on agent attraction, right? Us few people that are saying, you know what? I'm going to make this a priority, right? There's not 1,000 people on this call, right? Everyone's interested on getting their leads done and getting their SEO done and getting their production, getting their listing sold. But us few were like, you know what? We're working on something greater today. We're working on
What is that, like
building
16% of the company, 14% of the company, you know?
Yeah. It's always the few, right? It's always the few that take the focus, to take the attention, to say, you know what? I'm going to do something grandiose. I'm going to start with one. I'm going to get two. I'm going to get 3, 5, 10, 15, 30, 100, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000 people. Those people that are dare to dream into some action, right? So today we're going to start off like we always do. We're going to start off with a few blessings. And I'm going to start off with a question with you guys, a question that I've often used to kind of get myself going in almost every facet of what I do, from even hobbies to when I'm trying to go out there and just crush it, right? So I'm going to give you that question. We're going to talk through that because this question, you've actually probably have attached yourself to an outcome used before. So I'm going to use that and kind of and show you how to get ready to win. All right. So if you've had somebody that you've recruited recently that you're excited about, that it's something that's a win in your life, I don't care if you know it was your anniversary. I love energy of blessing. So if you've got a blessing, I know there's only a handful of us here, so a few of us can share here. So if you got a blessing, go ahead and share out. Hakeem, why don't you start, man? You came on the call all like energy. I love to, you know, dancing up there and stuff like that. Tell me what you're excited
Yeah,
about.
no, definitely. I just got off my first conversation from a cold call, so I'm super happy about that. That's a blessing. It was a comedy, but I loved it.
That's awesome.
Is that right? Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I'm assuming you're talking
yeah, if we
about a
can,
cold call for production, right?
that's right. That's right. I'm just about getting into production right now. I've spoken with a realtor in Jersey who's looking to come over to New York at my other place, as well as one who's just starting the training process. So there's potential down the line very shortly. It would definitely be helpful that I get into production. So that is my focus right now.
Okay. You know, for this hour, we're going to talk a lot about agent attraction, but there's nothing sexier to attract other agents than be a successful agent yourself, right? I mean, that definitely, when people are like, well, what changed, man? What are you doing? I've got a young lady in Miami, Florida, who's going to be on the build cruise. She came to EXP, and for 5 years, she's done, you know, about 6, 7 deals a year, just barely enough to kind of keep the lights on kind of stuff. And right now has 14 listings, right? And she can
Right.
easily talk to somebody about her excitement as to, you know, what changed when she joined EXP. And, you know, obviously it's something, it's always a two-way street. You know, she came to a new environment and she also brought something new to the environment, right? She plugged in, she took some action, she showed up at events and stuff like that, and she pushed herself to become a new person. And you know, now she's talking about buying a house this year and things of that nature. So I'm super excited for her. But those are the type of things that you can bring to the table when you're like, you know what, this stuff just works, right? So who else has got something they want to share? I've got one that just happened literally before this call. Go ahead, Vincent. Go ahead.
Did I say something, or did I make a move like I was gonna talk?
Yeah, you made
I
a
always
move.
have blessings. So, all right, I'm heading right now to a brand new office that's gonna be opening in on Long Island in Lynbrook. All right, super excited about it. It's about 3,000 square feet. It's built out beautifully, and we're going to meet a broker there to put out our vision. And you know, had a good conversation with him on the phone, and he's excited about it. So it's a huge opportunity for New York. It's expanding. I talked to another one of our partners that is looking for another office in Flushing. Kevin Ma is working on that. And we've got Desmond's office right there, bright and early. They're working, the movement team in Manhattan. So we're getting it all. All right. So if you guys need anything, just reach out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I wanted to share. I got a phone call just before we got on this, and I also got a call yesterday. And the interesting thing about these two phone calls that I've got, they were based on work that I've done for like weeks and months, right? So yesterday's call was actually an ex-Remax broker who got an email, which I had forgotten I had sent this email. This was an email I quit on. So I want to let you guys know, like, just want to be super transparent. This was an email I was sending out a few months ago, and I had a problem with MailChimp, and I just gave up on it, and I switched things. But this email specifically went out to this Remax broker. And, he was a small broker, didn't have a big team and things of that nature, but he wanted to hear more about, and I knew why he responded to this email, because it was my personal story as to why I would move my giant brokerage to EXP. And I know I don't send that email. I haven't sent that email out for a long time. I gave up on that email, but this guy gave me a call, and I probably sent out, I don't know, a few thousand emails in that chain. And I think I only got 2 responses, but his was definitely the response that was the most worthy. He asked me out for lunch. He asked me for, like, hey man, what do I need to get my business, to the next level? I feel like I'm falling behind the times. Like, help me out, right? And I was like, well, that's a reverse prospecting right there. And then the second one was an agent that came in this morning, responded to an current email, right? Which kind of gets you to, like, okay, do I have enough action out there to have results come back to me, right? If you're in production, the first thing you start thinking of, do I have enough leads to be able to get the deals that I want? The first thing we start thinking about is, like, if you say, hey, Gil, I want to do, 50 closings this year, right? And you say, Gil, just coach me through, how do I get 50 closings? And I was like, it's a pretty easy thing. We're talking about math here. We're talking about actions and math, right? And we would go back and say, okay, well, how many leads do we have? And do we even have enough leads to get to 50 closings? What other lead sources are you doing? What actions are you doing? Let me see your calendar, right? And I can tell you real fast if you're going to hit 50 closings or not, right? And, it's funny because I've been coaching agents now for 2 decades. And to get somebody to 20 deals a year, 40 deals a year, 60 deals a year, it's just a pattern that you're willing to commit to. And in agent attraction, you have to have multiple patterns going on to be able to constantly give you a flow of leads. So I want to bring you to my question. And I learned this from a little old lady in New York named Agatha. And Agatha, what was interesting about Agatha, and I want you to visualize Agatha, she was probably, at that time, I was a younger guy. I was probably, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 years old. And I was in a bowling league, and my dad was in a bowling league, and they were kind of side by side. And Agatha just happened to be on my team. She was an older lady with blonde hair, and one foot was about 3 inches shorter than the other. And there was nothing that she did about it. She didn't give a shit. She just did her little hop, and she had her bowling ball, and she would just go and hop, 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 and then throw the ball, and somehow hit a strike. And it was always kind of like awesome to kind of watch her, because I was always like, well, she can do it, I'm gonna freaking go out there and do it, right? But she said this question, she said to herself whenever, like, things weren't working out, or like just to remind herself to win, and I've been saying this since I was a young boy, Agatha's quote to herself was, do what you do when you're doing it right. Do what you do when you're doing it right. So before she threw that ball, she would go out there and say, do what you do when you're doing it right. Started thinking about when we got our results, why did we join the company? Who was the first person you ever recruited? And what were you doing when you were doing it right? When you were getting those results, right? I want you to think back to the people that you've already recruited, right? Maria's, out there, going out there and attracting a lot of people and things of that nature. But nothing's like those first few that when you first come in, you're super excited, right? You're just consuming everything. You're watching every video on YouTube there is. You're hearing about all the stuff. You're going to all the events, right? That's what I was doing when I was doing it right. I was plugged in. I was looking to improve my craft. I was looking to find polish. I was listening to others and saying, what are they doing? What is Brent doing? Right? So I plugged in and I realized, okay, well, what was Brent doing? Well, he decided every Friday he was going to take some time and he was going to make some phone calls. And from a piece of paper, he built a 20,000 person organization. If you want to watch that video on how he did that, it's called The Vault. It's over on YouTube. Him and James documented from the beginning of time how he built his whiteboard of attention and how he attracted people, and he called them for a couple hours on a Friday. With all the other things, he said, you know what? This one thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to be incredible at it. And he's the inspiration for a lot of people who do agent attraction. The funny thing is about Brent Gove is I remember when he wasn't doing it right. I remember back in 2010 seeing him on the couch after an AEA event. He wasn't Brent Gove. In fact, I don't even know what company he worked for. He might have worked for KW at the time. I don't know. But he was a person trying to figure things out. We were all trying to figure things out, right? But he decided to say, I'm going to do this one thing. I'm going to, I've got a busy week. I've got my family. I've got all these things. But on Fridays, I'm going to find my freedom. So I said, you know what? I'm going to copy that guy. I'm going to copy that guy. And I'm going to say, on Fridays, I'm going to spend time making sure that I'm eyeball to eyeball, ear to ear, belly to belly if I can. I'm going to meet new people. And I'm going to do this week in and week out, week in and week out. I'm going to attract other people that want to do the same thing. And we're going to do this right. Because that's all this business is. And, when I think about do what you do when you're doing it right, I'm really intentional on the person I'm talking to. When I'm doing it right, I think to myself, what do they care about? Because I can be jacked about financial freedom. I can be jacked about agent attraction. I can be jacked about the new lead system. But when I'm doing it right, and here's where I want you guys to come in here too. It's like, tell me what you're doing when you're doing it right. You're celebrating someone else's wins. When you're doing it right, you're curious about what their dreams are. When you're doing it right, you're playing detective until you can become a doctor and find something to heal them, find something to engage them, find something to inspire them. I'm introducing them to people. When I'm doing it right, I'm finding some other leader that can come in and say, hey, listen, help me validate. Help me help this agent experience something greater. Help me help them reach their goals. They want to be a luxury agent. Show them our luxury tools. Let me sit back and kind of, oh man, that's cool. I like that. Right? When I'm doing it right, what are you doing? Tell me what you do when you think to yourself, when I'm doing it right, this is what I tend to do. What's that? What's that for you? Listen, what happened the first time you recruited somebody? The first time. Do you remember who the first person you recruited? I love how we can never find the mute button. It's just like it hides, it moves around the screen.
Come on, Lucy.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh my goodness. So the first time I ever recruited someone, geez, it was out of desperation in 2012, right? I couldn't recruit to save my life. And then I took a training in Orlando. But the very first time, and trust me, it took a lot of repetition. But the very first time I recruited someone, I couldn't even believe it. But you're talking about the things that we do right, right? And it all begins with the contact, getting in front of that person. Obviously, back then, social media was not what it is today. We were in a whole different world. So it was just, getting that DBPR list and calling and calling and calling and calling. But I remember that I said, I have to have a value proposition, right? Because that's what this trainer, can't recall his name right now, but it'll come back to me. He said, you have to have something of value. So my only value that I knew that I could provide, right? Because with Century 21, you had all the franchise fees and the monthly fee and all these things. It was my training. And I've never stopped since then. And that's my superpower, my trainings, right? Bringing people together.
Energy.
Getting them in front of me. Yeah. So when I
would say your superpower is energy, it's excitement, it's hope, it's inspiration, right? And when you're doing it right, you're exposing more people to that energy, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
when you do an event, you're exposing more people to your energy, right?
absolutely. And for me, I mean, I'm 28 weeks into my Winners Wednesday productivity boot camp nonstop, and I could feel the volcano starting to, erupt. And yesterday I was at an event that this broker I mentioned to you guys is going to be my first whale. I know that's going to be a tipping point because that's going to be like a wow. Just even people seeing me with her are sharing, oh my God, it was only a matter of time before you ladies, connected. But we've known each other since 2017. But you know what it is also, Gil? It's a mindset. It's a mindset. As much as we say we want to recruit, we got to be psychologically in line with, is this really what I want to do? Because we could say we want to do it, but then have all the thoughts of dread, like, oh, and then what am I going to do with them? And how am I going to onboard them? And then what's going to happen? And what if it doesn't work? So for me, it's been a big psychological shift. And I have to admit it, right? I have to be like, hello, my name is Lucy Quinones, and I'm a recovering burnt out broker that is not going to give up on what I want to do. So now I've got to get my psychology in place. Well, it is in place
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
28 weeks later.
I got to give you credit to you. I recently heard somebody that say that, and it was on a podcast actually, that 80% of podcasts fail after the first 4 podcast shows, right? So 80% of them don't make it to the 5th. The fact that you're tracking this, like, and I know it's not a podcast, but it's the same kind of thing. I'm doing something and I'm going to keep doing it over and over and over. And the funny thing is that you don't actually know the result that you're going to get, but you have the faith to say, you know what, this is going to get me a result. But definitely your superpowers is energy, right? Getting people attracted to you, your network. Super excited about your whale that you're bringing on, and that'll be first of many. Because the reality is, once you get one, you're like, oh wait, these are just human beings that desire more, just like me,
It
just
just,
like everybody else. You said
yes,
something about a picture. I'm going to tell you, the power of taking pictures with other real estate agents is undeniable. It was a funny joke, and I know Vince is smiling right now because I wasn't going there. But like, you take a picture with me, and you're a real estate agent working somewhere else, you're pretty much joined. And here's the deal.
You're
Here's the reason
getting a
why.
raise, not right?
Either you're getting a raise, right, from your old broker, because they're going to give you a lot of attention, or you're jumping on. Like, and the thing is, even if they don't, the world's going to think that. The world just starts thinking like, oh, he just took a picture. He must be coming on board, right? So, going to events and posting pictures of yourself with other agents, like, I will tell you, there's an attraction that happens through that photograph. I don't know what it is. It's like, I look at it from like the old school when people used to take photos and they had to like line up and they had to, like, the sulfur, and I mean, they had the Bosphorus, whatever it was. They flashed it and like, there's a magic that happens, right? You miss it because we use a digital camera, but there's a magic transfer of energy that's happening when you take a picture with somebody and you post it. I'm just telling you. I took a picture with Vincent Koo. It changed his life.
yes. I think it's a
Your life.
perception.
uh, I'm sorry. So I want to acknowledge this real fast before we could always run out of time here. If you're on this call and you're on this call because you're thinking about agent attraction, I want to give you an action to do today, because there has to be a action that we take every time that we're here to expect some kind of result, right? And we always talk about, like, reaching out to our 100. If you're on this call, you've committed to getting your 100 list. If you haven't done that yet, you go to EXP toolkit/attraction. There's going to be a downloadable Excel
Flash.
spreadsheet. I'm sorry, growth. Right. I was thinking about that. Yeah, thank you. exptoolkit.com/growth. In there, you're going to find a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is going to have a bunch of memory ticklers, right? Where say, hey, tell me about an agent you worked with in a different organization. Tell me about an agent that's good at social media. And you're just going to fill that out, right? And you're going to use that to help you get organized. You're going to use that as potential inventory list of where you're going to share your energy, right? That list is probably the most valuable first step that many agents fail to make. And as a result of it, they don't get the results. When I first started, when I was doing things right, the very first thing is I got my whiteboard and I wrote down people's names. And I stared at those names and I stared, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can do it with a wealth board. You can do it with a wealth chart. You can do it a lot of different ways. But I wrote names down, names that I was excited about, names that I was scared about, scared to talk to these people. And there were names that I was like, oh, they're just going to come on board, right? And I just kept on touching them, kept on touching them, kept on touching them, kept on touching them, touching them. You know, the reality was, it's like there has to be an action for there to be a result. So the first
I think I
action, if
remember
you're an
Bobby
agent
sending me a
attractor, a
picture.
must.
Gil. Bobby sent me a
Say
picture of
again?
that whiteboard. Bobby sent me a picture of that whiteboard, that original whiteboard, and he circled my name on it. You know, and he was like, "You were on that list," and it was
Yep.
it's hilarious because, you know, I mean, we were all brokers at the time, and, you know, no thoughts about working together or anything like that. But it's nice to know that I was on somebody's list.
You were definitely on the list. And the reality is, like when you write somebody on your list, you're preparing them to feel love, right? Because the same thing, Vincent, it's nice to be on somebody's list. It's nice to be thought about, right? The sweetest thing you can tell, I was thinking about you, right? How's it going? What to do? With all the crazy phone calls we get with robo dialers, at least one call a day is a call that says, you know what? I was thinking about you. How's things going, man? I hope you're winning. Hey, man, if you're not winning, I can introduce you to people that are winning that can help you out. Let's huddle up, right? Let's huddle up. Let's do something special. Always have something to invite somebody. So again, if you're just getting on this call for the first time, if you're interested in agent attraction, you got to make me a promise, man. You got to get on your Excel spreadsheet, pull it down from EXP Toolkit/growth, and get that started. I can tell you it's hard to get the results without having a list. It's hard to get production without having a list, right? Everything starts there. Okay. What do we do with that list? You don't have to be a copywriter anymore. You don't have to come out there and try to think, man, what am I going to say to these people? You're going to open up your ChatGPT and you're going to say, hey, I'm a world-class agent attractor at eXp Realty. And here's my superpowers. Here's what I do incredible. And you're going to list those things out for it and just talk to it, right? Help me create an email, 4 emails, so you can send one out every Friday that I can send to agents in my market and that are thought-provoking and can focus on helping them grow their business. Don't overthink it. You're going to go on ChatGPT, you're going to create that email, but the action must happen. And then you're going to send that email. We can send out a text, right? What would be a thought-provoking text message? I mean, do it right now. Do it on ChatGPT. See what it says. It's going to come up with something incredible. There's a lot more things you can do with ChatGPT than just doing listing descriptions. I promise you that, right? The reality is, it's like you've got this incredible machine that will never stop for you for $20 a month. Use it. Use it for your agent attraction. Ask your agent, ChatGPT, hey, how does EXP compare to Remax? How does it compare to Century 21? What's their model? What agent would win in this model versus that model, right? For a lot of models that don't have capping, there's an actual number, and you should know that number, an actual number where being with us becomes a no-brainer. Because they can argue with you about ego, they can argue about emotion, but there's one thing no one can ever argue about, and it's math. And you say, hey, listen, I don't know if this would be good for you, but let's take a look at it. Let's look at your model. Let's look at this model. Let's see the math. If it doesn't work out, no problem. I'll never bother you again. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to have that conversation with your ChatGPT prior to having that, but you can do it right in front of them. By the way, there's something powerful just asking the ChatGPT right in front of people. I ask them, right? Hey, man, I don't even know. Let's find out. What are your numbers? Let's plug them in. Let's see what happens. Oh, man, it looks like you'd make about, based on your last year's results, you make about $23,000 more here. But money's not everything. I discount that right away. Money's not everything. What would make it a great year for you? What would make you feel really proud? What would have to happen, change in your business that would help you feel like, you know what? This was worth it. And then just keep exploring and inviting and introducing. That's what I do when I'm doing it right. I can tell you that. I'm introducing people like left and right to people. I'm saying, hey, man, I know you just joined 3 days ago, but there's this build conference coming up in 3 days. Let's go. Right? That's what I'm doing when I'm doing it right. I'm taking actions, I'm sending out messages, and I'm letting the universe come back to me. In a few minutes, you guys are going to be taking a break from this call and you're going to go into your action space. You're going to take the next hour reaching out to your people. Do not allow yourself to get into a situation where you go to a different task without doing this very necessary part of your freedom. Reaching out to 10, 15, 20, 25 people, 50 people, whatever your number is, whatever your goal is, right? You have a big goal, you're going to take more action. You say, hey, Gil, I just want to get 10 people by the end of this year. Great. You probably can get away with just talking to 10 people a week, right? Almost guarantee yourself. You talk to 10 people per week, you almost guarantee yourself 10 people by the end of the year, right? Probably guarantee yourself 100. That's all it takes. We are now in a spot in the marketplace where I haven't been this confident of what 2026 looks like. I haven't been this confident. Like, we come into a year thinking, oh, it's going to be a great year. Ding, 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 ding. It's going to be a life-changing year. It'd probably be the best real estate year in my entire life. I've never been so set up for a market shift. For the last 2 years, I've been setting up my business to take advantage of this market that's coming in. Let me give you, I've talked about this before. I'm going to do it one more time with you guys. We went through some incredible bull markets, right? In a bull market in real estate, 2 things happen. The cost of money is low, interest rates are low, and prices are going up, right? Interest rates going down, prices going up. That's a bull market. The opposite of that, a bear market, would be price of money goes up, interest rates go up, and prices of homes go down. That sucks. Nobody likes that, right? And then what happens right after that is stabilization. Prices kind of just stay hanging around there. Houses aren't really selling. They're staying there. Rates kind of stay at a high level. They don't really move much. There's a little fluctuations, but nothing to kind of excite the market, right? Well, as you guys know, there's been a lot of push in the Fed chairman and things of that nature. And for the very first time in 24 months, there was over a 25% chance that rates were going to go down. Then it went to 50%. Then it went to 63%. Then it went to 72% for the September Fed meeting. There's a 72% chance they're going to lower rates. November meeting, almost 90. Go look it up. You can look it up on CME, Fed Watch, and you can get their predictions for the rate track. And it's what I know about what's going to happen in that situation is, here's what's going to happen. You're going to see a market where rates go down, prices go up as a result of that. People flood the market because they've been wanting to move since COVID, right? Since COVID, they've been trying to make a move, but there's something happening that stopped them from making that move, right? You're going to get a pent-up frustration. Sellers are going to be like, you know what? I can finally get out of this house, right? And they're going to take advantage of something else because they can now replace their interest rate. And you're going to see housing prices all-time high, Bitcoin all-time high, like everything's going to be record-setting. All your freaking favorite stock, our stock going boom, another high, another high, another high, another high. We've seen this before. We're on that cuff, and here's the deal: everybody's going to win, but some people are going to win more than their fair share. Those few that are ready, those 16% that are taking action and have a clear picture of what winning looks like for them, who will dare to dream at a higher level. They're going to commit every Friday to say, you know what, that's going to happen. And when that happens, I'm going to be ready because I'm going to have a flood of attention, flood of people that I've been talking to all this time. And I'm going to say, let's go. And I'm going to run with some people. And I'm going to start adding chunks. This is the dream. This is that dream market that we're walking into right now. Dude, it's the gift, right? For some of you guys never seen what's about to happen right now. I've seen it. I've been on the market. Whenever energy changes in the market, where the market goes, plummets down, plummets up, and skyrockets up, somebody's going to be win, but you have to be ready. You may want to have more than 100 people on your list. You might want to have 200, 300 people on your list, right? You might want to say, you know what, Gil, Fridays isn't enough. I can't just work on this Fridays. I need to work on this on Tuesdays and Fridays. You know what? I need to be sitting down face to face with at least 3 people per week, 12 people per month, right? I need to introduce people to my local director of growth. I need to have them meet some people that are in my organization. I need to invite them to, a EXPCon event. I need to take more action, because those people who take action in this window of opportunity, what I call the Woo market window of opportunity, will have results that will become legendary. It will be the next Brent Gove. It will be the next Gene Frederick. It'll be the next, who are the guys who are kind of retired in the game, like Rob Flakes of the world, those guys that you never see anymore, the guys who are just sitting on, like, I don't know what they're making, like $300,000-$400,000 a month. They're born in markets like this where they're like, okay, I'm ready to run. You know what's funny? Can I just tell you? Can I just be honest with you guys? I'm a guy who always worked hard all my life. I'm 52 years old right now, and I didn't start figuring things out till I was 40. At 40 years old, I started figuring shit out, right? I'm actually writing a book called The 7-Figure Hustler, and the 7-Figure Hustler was who I was, and I was proud of that, and it was stopped me from being anything. See, I was always good at things, just enough to get things. I had a perception that I was winning and things of that nature, but my 7-figure hustle stopped me from actually winning, because I wasn't consistent on a couple of different things. I was trying to do everything, and my hustle, while that got me a B result or a B plus result in anything, it never made me A plus in anything. It wasn't until I started making some decisions. I'm going to get really good at a few things. Like, I'm going to be a student of these few things, and I'm going to say no to a lot of things. Where I started saying, you know what? I'm starting to see results. Not B-level results, A results. And I started to see the freedom that I was desiring at my fingertips. And I started leaning into it. You know how many YouTube videos I watch a week just about agent attraction? Probably way more than you're watching on Netflix right now. Right? You ask me what shows on Netflix right now, I don't know. I don't know what's popular. I don't know what's in the top 10. Kids can tell you, because they have that freedom now, but it won't last. The reality is that if you're willing to work hard right now and really focus on something you haven't done before, and you're willing to commit to that, you're going to see a lifetime of results. In the last 10, 12, 15 years, these changes I made in myself as a human, as a father, as a husband, as a leader, they were all intentional. They were intentional in the fact that I decided, you know what? I'm not a fast reader. I'm never going to be able to read 52 books a year. I can't. I don't have the focus for it. Maybe you do. My wife can read 52 books a year. She's done it many, many years in a row. She runs out of books. I don't read that fast. I read 10 pages a day. That's what I can commit to, where I can sit down and write notes on. But I'm going to stake my life on those 10 days. And I'm going to make sure that those 10 pages, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to read those 10 pages, and I'm going to enjoy those 10 pages. I know that I'm not the most organized person in the world, so I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do a few things right, just a few. I know that I can overwhelm people, so I'm going to tame myself down. I'm going to bring my energy down to a peaceful level where I can actually talk to people and enjoy their comfort rather than me just selling people on what's important to me. I learned that I can focus on someone else and get a better result than me focused on my goals. I had to learn these things, but I learned them because, you know what? I wanted something more. When you have 6 kids and there's a lot of mouths to feed, you realize, you know what? I've got to be a better man. And that journey was a journey that I've took right in front of a lot of people's eyes. Have the power to make a decision. Probably the biggest gift you can give your family. The decision to be more than you were yesterday, and make a decision to keep on proving that exponentially in the future. It's a powerful feeling to know you can control your own destiny through actions. Actions are the purification. The freedom that you desire is hiding behind the actions you hide from. Don't hide anymore. Take this next 45 minutes, hour, 2 hours to say, you know what? I'm going to lock myself down and I'm going to communicate with agents and I'm going to do this purely and freely, and I'm going to enjoy it. Because I can already taste the freedom that comes from the results that I take today. When you have that clarity and knowing is like, you know what, I can see what this looks like in the future, it'll give you the energy to take the action that you're on right now. You know, it's funny, Hakeem, you mentioned that, you know, you had gone through a cold call and you kind of smiled. And I kind of thought to myself, maybe that wasn't a great call. You just kind of got through it. But you know why you made that call? Because you know there's going to be a few of those, but there's going to be a few ones where they're going to be like, you know what? I just need to get out of this house. I need to make a move. And you're going to be there for them because you took the actions necessary to get the result that you want. Same thing here. See the end game. You want to get inspired? Go to EXP Toolkit /growth. Go on the revenue share calculator and look how little it takes to make $250,000 a year on rev share. That's $20,000 coming into your mailbox or in your bank account per month. It doesn't take an extraordinary amount of attention. It just takes a devotion to saying this is worthy and just build and build and build. So what I'm asking you guys to do is write this down, do what you do when you're doing it right, and do it. And keep that in your head as you wobble down the lane, just like Agatha did, and she changed my life in a bowling game. Do what you do when you're doing it right. All right, anybody have any closing thoughts they want to say before we get to work?
Yes, I want to say I can't wait to see you guys up close and personal. Oh, geez.
I'll see you on the cruise.
Yes, on the cruise. Yes.
You know, Jay Kinder says this one line, and I've always loved it. And you know, every time he got on stage, he would share the things that he learned to get onto the stage. And he would say, I'll either see you at the top or I'll see you from the top.